It was 2008, right? One of the toughest seasons for IT. Or, in fact, the whole global meltdown, etc. happened, right? And my first task was to prepare a sheet for employees to be let go of. The employee would say that, I would go up, go to the terrace and jump off. I had got a job with BASF, right, the chemical major. For their 50-member, across the globe, they are only a 50-member team for a consulting call, okay? My work permit was printed. The last semester's first day, I collapsed. So this is in campus. So then I was actually, the next memory that I have is that, I being in an ambulance and, being taken to the hospital. And the very next memory is, I waking up in the hospital, right?
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With all theory, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At All Tuni, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% club. Click on the link in the description now.
To solve for some of your problems and how insurance changed a person's life, I have with me today Anujan Krishnamoorthy. Welcome, Anujan. Welcome on stage. Let me understand what was the kind of person Anujan was while growing up. Are you from here? Are you from Bangalore?
No, I'm from Bombay. Yeah.
So in Bombay, while you were growing up, what was the kind of childhood that you have had? What was the kind of things that you were seeing while you were growing up in your family at that point?
I am the younger sibling. Me and my brother always, were together as a company, and we had different passions. I mean, our parents never forced us, except one, never forced us to study. Okay, academics were okay in terms of, किसी का कुछ भला ही नहीं हुआ academics में. I mean, it's.
पढ़ाई करके कोई बड़ा आदमी नहीं बना.
Yeah. But one thing that they were extremely disciplinary on, right? That's our music. I still remember that, it was my board exam the next day, okay? 10th, English, right? I'm fairly decent with English. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm decent at. Next day, it was my board exams, and I was practicing the previous night for 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours, I mean, I don't know. So one of my relatives had come down. I mean, it was like a small apartment and stuff, and then, what is he doing in terms of, next? And my mother, I still vividly remember that dialogue that, my mother said that, it's his life, right? If he passes, passes. If he does not pass, he will take another attempt, right? But I don't want him to waste a day, right? Not practicing. So that was the only thing. And I remember, my mother used to wake us up at 4:45 a.m. and ask us to practice. And during the time that, that my grandmother was there with us, she used to peep at the window and look outside that, if my parents were coming. So if my parents were coming, or if my mother was coming, and we did not, if we were not practicing, there was no dinner.
Was this the reason you did not choose the path that all our previous speakers today chose, which is engineering, that you did not do? What did you do?
I was actually planning for, when I was in 9th and 10th, during the summer holidays, etc., waiting for the results. I bought physics textbook. I found, vectors, etc., matrices and stuff. But then one day, I decided to fill up the form of commerce, okay? Because that was one of the best colleges in Mulund College of Commerce. It's very difficult to get into. It still is. So I got it, and open seat is like, okay, I'm doing commerce. For me, till that time, I mean, still till now, okay, I always wanted to be a musician, and I associate myself as an artist first, than going with my academic qualification. So that, I think, was the difference. I didn't know what I was doing like that.
While all this was happening, you did go through an MBA. When did that realization come to you that now is the time when I have to invest some time in education as well?
It's actually another funny story, because thanks to my music, right? I was in a concert for Chennai, and then I had, because it was a weekend concert, my uncle, my mother's brother, was working with Wipro, okay, at that point of time. So he comes and says that, okay, you are 19, you are 20. Okay, so he got through an advertisement where Wipro is sponsoring for select candidates across India a learn while you earn program, okay. That's supposed to be based out of Bangalore, okay. So I'm fascinated, obviously, because I've been to Bangalore like many times for concerts and stuff, so I love the weather, obviously. So that incidentally happened, and then I wrote an exam, and then I cleared. I gave the interview with, 1 more week it was, and then it was actually very, very fast. And that's when I decided, and the whole thing actually took less than 15 days for me to get the letter and offer letter. So, and then it was a moment of choice, right? Should I go do and because independent living, etc., was one big question. But yeah, I was up for it, and even then, right? My father, mother said that jo karna hai kar. It's like that. As long as you don't leave music, that's what it is.
And do you think that what you chose later on, you chose to do HR as your specialization, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that was attuned to what you were doing at that point in time, or the mindset that you had?
I was lousy HR. Let me be very honest. I did not have patience. Okay, I cannot be more candid than this. And even somewhere, my bosses, okay, God bless her, Amrita, so she realized that why are you in HR? But the program was like Learn While You Earn for a talent council. So it was tie-up with Symbiosis, etc. So which had to, so it was like a Learn While You Earn. 4 days we stayed we worked, and 2 days, we
go back to school and learn.
We go back to school in campus, sometimes, outside. But it was an 18 months, and for that 18 months, unfortunately, I had to be in HR, okay. My boss would agree, my previous boss would agree that, I was a lousy HR. But still, there was this connect in terms of, what I wanted to do. Because, see, it was 2008, right? One of the toughest seasons for IT. Or, in fact, the whole global meltdown, etc. happened, right? And my first task was to prepare a sheet for employees to be let go of. Okay.
Wow, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, so imagine as a fresher, as a 20-year-old entering the workforce, and the first task he's assigned is to prepare a sheet. And there was a point at which point that, even I was doing, 1 year down the line, I was taking exit interviews, and I was actually firing people. We had cases in terms of, like the employee would say that, I would go to the terrace and jump off the building. And imagine a 21-year-old getting this trauma who never had even a single problem. Even though we are from modest, we are extremely privileged, right? All of us are actually privileged. That's why I think that, I said that, boss, HR is not my game. Probably that incident, yeah.
What happened with Wipro once you were done with your MBA?
Yeah, sure.
How was that journey like? And when did you figure out that, HR is okay, but there are other things that I can also be good at?
Yeah, so, see, my boss always believed in my talent, although, so she said that, I am in a wrong profession. So, in fact, again, luck played an important role. And so Wipro acquired a company in Portugal, right? That was like our offshore center. And the Portugal head, HR head, and the business head, etc., they were coming down, okay? Actually, I was not supposed to receive. My senior colleague was supposed to receive them, etc., right? But the weekend, so they were coming on Monday. I vividly remember this. On Saturday, he calls me up and says that, I met with an accident. My foot is broken, and I will not be able to receive them, okay? So on Monday, I was all prepared, etc., for receiving them in terms of, so this is how the opportunity knocks, right? I am a huge Arsenal supporter. Judge me for all you want, but I'm a football fan. So actually, Arsenal beats Porto, okay? So 5-1, and they are coming from Porto, right? And they are a football fanatics, right? So the first conversation that I strike with them is that, okay, commiserations that, Porto lost. That's when Nasri scores an individual brilliant goal as well. I don't know if any Arsenal fan would recollect. But yeah, so that's when, and they said they liked it. The first thing that they think about me till now is the first conversations that you had when you were. So these are chances, right? You have to make most of it. But we underplay the role that luck plays, because had it been anyone, you could have been anyone.
Right.
I mean, right at that point.
That leg could have not have been broken, maybe because of that.
Exactly. And then in 6 months after, so they went back, etc. So they were happy and stuff. 6 months later, so they announced that we need some one person to manage this center, because there was this integration happening, right? Post-merger integration is how we addressed it. And the first name, I mean, surprise, surprise, the first name that came up was me, right? Even though I was not eligible for that particular role. But yeah, so my boss, my super boss, they interviewed, but they were always sure that they will probably send me abroad. So then that happened. I mean, imagine a guy who has never set foot in Goa, okay, going to a hinterland, I mean, Goa's motherland in terms of Portugal, right?
What happened in Portugal stayed in Portugal?
Yeah, I mean,
No?
it was world over. It's like Portugal went to Spain, Spain went to...
What happened in Spain and UK while you were doing the rounds? I want to understand how the shift from HR to different verticals happened,
Yeah.
Because you took a logical step from HR, you wanted to do something else, and that logical step was doing another program while you were, I think, in Paris or UK?
No, Porto. Yeah,
Portugal.
Yeah, Porto.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So we dealt with a lot of problems, because first problem was I was the first Indian to set foot. I mean, not the first Indian, but the first Indian to be permanently staying in Porto. Okay, so after the acquisition, there was absolutely nobody. Imagine a guy, such a hostile environment. But Portuguese are very, very nice. In fact, I had great people, great friends like Manuel Gaspar, etc., who happened to be leading in Wipro, senior leaders, right? So they were very kind, but initially I had to win their trust. Okay, so they thought that because let's be very honest, right? If a US company buys us or we buy, right? So like imagine a Byju's buying, a US company. What would their thought be? Like, I'm going to report into an Indian company now. So they were quite hostile. It was the first task that I had to win over people. Okay, that's when I thought that there is more that I can do, right? In terms of convincing. So I liked that aspect in terms of how challenging. So first thing is that you have to learn the language, because English is not at all going to get you far if you have to survive in Portugal or any other non-English speaking country. We were managing like Iberia, okay, Spain and Portugal together is called Iberia. So I went there, met with customers, like, so they were super retail customers. And then I got the opportunity to go to Morrison's, right, which is in the UK, okay. Very, very, cold, okay, environment, etc. And they used to dress up in ties, okay. So that's when I realized that every day, right, every single day that, they used to have ties, and they, so that's their working style. And in Portugal, people were coming in jeans, right. So that's when it occurred in terms of, a different shift in terms of, okay, I want to do this. I want to be like them. In terms
Want to
of
wear ties.
Yeah, exactly. Wearing tie is like the anecdotal, right? What I wanted to do. But wearing tie means successful. Okay, vilayati hai to successful. Right? So kuch to sahi karta hoga. So that's when it occurred. And then I did a couple of interesting stuff in Portugal that we had to do a benefits alignment, because obviously Indian companies and the Portuguese, they had to eventually align, right, what spends we were doing. A lot of consultants were flying on Monday and they were coming back on Thursday, right, to various, Amsterdam, to UK, etc. But they had company paid cars, okay, which was actually not being used, but they were being sent on economy, right? So I designed in terms of, like a simple benefit structure where I reduced, so all of them were driving, say, BMW 3 Series and 5 Series. That was the company, because it was a small 150 people setup, right? So I designed a scheme wherein I gave them, say, a BMW se Citroen chala lo, okay, Renault chala lo, okay, but I will give you a first class, okay, or a business class. I mean, whichever was available. It took time for them, but eventually, as I understand that, the savings was humongous, close to a bottom line of, MNC company that, so that made me in a spotlight in terms of, so what I can do on the top line, on the bottom line, because I understood the whole P&L, and it was not only from the HR angle. So that's when I thought, I'll be more.
Right. And when did IEB school happen to you? Was it also during when you were working there that you thought that you need another degree in your life? And how difficult does it become? So honestly, you have a flowing salary that's coming in every month, and then you have to decide for a year I'm not going to have this salary, and I'm going to learn and upskill myself to get into different sectors and fields that I want to get into. So how difficult is that choice?
It was a choice, right? Because honestly, I had done 6.5 years of experience overall, right? Put together 3.5 in Porto, Portugal, Spain, and 3 years in Bangalore. But so 6 years, after 6 years, IIM does not make sense, right? Because 2 years of opportunity loss is something that, we need to calculate on that. These were the calculations when it happens, like, after you are reached a certain. So ISB was an option, okay? But coming back to India was never even on my mind, right? I wanted to settle somewhere in Europe, right?
And you did not want to come back to India, is what you have thought of, and that's where the entire B school, life started. But something happened in your personal life at that point in time, which made you come back to India. Let's discuss that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So I had got a job with BASF, right? The chemical major. For their 50-member, across the globe, they are only a 50-member team for a consulting call, okay? My work permit was printed. The last semester's first day, I collapsed. So this is in campus. So then I was actually, the next memory that I have is that, I being in an ambulance and, being taken to the hospital. And the very next memory is, I waking up in the hospital, right? So I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, okay, and the doctor advised surgery, okay. So in fact, it works this way that, if in Spain, God bless those nice people, that if they diagnose something, they have to finish the entire procedure, right, for them to be, it was a government-funded year, so which I took special permission because every report was published in, Spanish, etc., and my family's freaking out here. We just got married. I mean, it was very recent. And we got married in 2013, and this happened in 2015. So she was in the US. She was actually funding my education. Lucky me again, right? So then she handled it, etc. So then this is what happened, right? So the doctor obviously advised surgery. Then we took a couple of opinions and we sent the MRI report because brain hai, उसमें translation का कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, right?
Right.
So we shared it with a couple of doctors here in India, and everybody said that it's better to get it removed surgically. So that's when we decided to take a call that I was traveling, okay, back to Bangalore. So, and this was another interesting story because I was sedated, okay, because the pressure has to be maintained. So I was drugged like crazy. France, Paris, I came in a flight wherein my doctor, batchmate and colleague, he, a German citizen, he came in and he took special permission from the immigration counter. And then my wife, Priya, she joined from, Dallas to Paris, and we exchanged, and he got, me handed over to her, and then we flew from Bangalore. On Sunday we land. On Monday we visit a doctor. On Tuesday we take a test, MRI. On Thursday I was admitted. Friday I got the surgery done, awake. On Sunday I was discharged.
Wow, lovely. And that's what life is, right? Like, you have planned big. You wanted that BASF job.
Yeah.
You wanted to be in Germany. You wanted to continue staying in Europe. That's what your plan was. And sometimes we make these plans, but life has other plans for us, right?
Yeah. So the doctor whom I met in Bangalore, right? So he was like 45, 47-year-old probably, right? The first question that I asked him was not, if I can remember anything, etc. What will will I be able to hold my violin? I still clearly remember. That was my first question.
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With all theory, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At All Tuni, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% class. Click on the link in the description now.